Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Giannis Antetokounmpo's brother. The Milwaukee Bucks just gave him a 1-year, fully guaranteed $2.9 million contract per Shams. And even in that report, Shams says that Giannis is sticking around at least to start the season. Right? There's been a lot of talk this offseason about what is going to happen with Giannis. Is he going to finally get traded? Is this the moment? Is this the year? I think, and I've said this, I think Giannis should want out. I think Milwaukee should want Giannis out at this point, right? And I'm not even talking about the Lakers. Obviously, as a Laker channel, remove my Laker bias for a moment. I think it's best for both sides to just depart, right? Milwaukee keeps digging a deeper and deeper hole to try to make moves and exhaust all possibilities by, trying to keep Giannis just to make marginal minor moves, right? Yes, the Damian Lillard situation, I don't blame them for that. They were kind of in a spot they had to figure that out. But like Damian Lillard, you basically lost Damian Lillard, right? And he probably opts out next season, but because you're so worried that Giannis is going to leave, you end up waiving and stretching him, right? So he ends up getting waived and stretched. And then on top of that, you lose Brook Lopez, you bring in Miles Turner, but Miles Turner, who is an upgrade over Brook Lopez, is not going to replace Dame and Brook Lopez. And now you're really heavily reliant on like Kevin Porter Jr. and, Gary Trent Jr., both guys I really like, but not as like your second or third option, right? So I don't see a path, and I've said this for years now. I don't see a path in which Milwaukee's going to be able to correct and fix all the things that they need to correct and fix enough to get the Milwaukee Bucks back into contention. And I just think that they're continuing to just dig their grave deeper and deeper. And then when Giannis does finally leave, you're going to be so far in the hole, you're not going to be able to get out of it anytime soon, right? Like, so it's like, okay, if they would have traded him and got it over with and kind of peeled the bandage, of course, Milwaukee doesn't want to be the team that trades Giannis, right? And Giannis doesn't really want to be the bad guy. But I think Milwaukee Bucks fans, I think everybody kind of understands, like, this has ran its course. Thank you for the NBA championship. Good luck to you. I'm sure Bucks fans probably don't want to see him go back to the Lakers and follow Kareem's path. Everyone has their kind of teams that they're hoping that a player goes to and doesn't go to, right? But I think everyone kind of understands, like, look, Milwaukee's exhausted everything. The Bucks are done. Giannis is going to have to average 50 or whatever. And look, if Giannis just wants to spend his whole year in Milwaukee and he's happy and comfortable in that regard, then fine. Come out and say that, though. Just be like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm happy here. I'm not leaving, whether I win another championship or not. But he keeps saying stuff, and he's the one that originally started this whole he's going to leave couple seasons ago. They went and did the Dame trade because he put so much pressure on. But this is beneficial to the Lakers. Not in the sense of like, obviously if Giannis sticks around, then it's not. But if Giannis was to get traded, forget the Lakers. Right? I don't believe the Lakers have an opportunity to get Giannis this season, right? So if Giannis did request out and did want to be traded this season, the Lakers, I just don't see a path doing that. Even if Giannis said, I only want to go to the Lakers, nowhere else. Because a team could go and trade for him and be like, hey, we have a 2-year window. Toronto was willing to do that on a 1-year window, and it paid off and won a championship. And Giannis is, second best player in all of basketball, right? So teams would do what the Cleveland Cavaliers did for Donovan Mitchell, right? Where it's like, hey, we got like 2 years to convince him to stay and try to win in those 2 years, and it worked off and it paid out, right? So can a team do the same thing with Giannis? Teams would take the chance with Giannis. So if Giannis wants to be traded this season, at any point this season, maybe even the trade deadline, I do not see a path where the Lakers realistically can get him. Never say never. You never know. Maybe the Bucks want to do right by Giannis, and he's like, I only want to go to the Lakers, so they just trade him to the Lakers anyway, even for a lesser package. Like, we never thought, Luka Doncic would be a Laker, and here we are. But next offseason, right? So if Giannis finishes this year, now he goes into a contract year to which now he can kind of pull in Anthony Davis and go, I only want to go to the Lakers. I don't want to go to another team. Right? In general, that's what's best for Giannis, because Giannis right now, I'm sure he has his preferred destinations. Again, let's remove the Laker bias for a moment. Let's say the Spurs or, the whatever, the Heat or somebody like that. Right now, he could want to go to one of those teams, but if somebody, Charlotte comes along with a better offer and package, then guess what Milwaukee's probably going to do? Take said package, right? But if Giannis waits till next offseason, now he can go, hey, just to let you know, if you trade for me, I'm not going to re-sign with you. So you'd have me for a year, but I'm leaving as soon as I can, right? And so you have fewer teams that would probably do that. I do think there's always the potential a team would do that, but what would they be willing to give up in order to do that? What would a team be willing to trade in order to get a 1-year rental of Giannis? Probably not what at next offseason, what the Lakers could offer, right? So Giannis, even if he doesn't want to go, he wants to go to Spurs or something like that, he has more pull. He has more leverage to go, I want to go to that team and that team only. Don't trade me anywhere else. If you do trade me anywhere else, just let everyone know I'm not going to re-sign with that team. I'm just going to go and sign with the Spurs in the following offseason, which is what the Lakers are hoping Giannis or Nikola Jokic end up doing for the Lakers next offseason, right? Lakers would have a much more competitive package next offseason to go and make a trade for a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Lakers would have Austin Reeves that they could sign and trade to go make the move or trade him to another team and get some assets. You'd have 3 first-round picks, plus whatever young players and things like that end up coming along. Plus, you'd have a bunch of cap space. You could even absorb a lot if you wanted to and needed to. So, Lakers could figure it out. They'd have options in that regard. So, the best thing that could happen for the Lakers, if they realistically want a chance at a Giannis Antetokounmpo, is him not to get traded this year. Because chances are, let's say the Spurs, for example, if Giannis was to, go to the Spurs, he's probably signing a new contract with the Spurs, and the Spurs probably know that because that's why they went and traded for him. Right? So any team that goes and trades for him probably knows that Giannis is interested in sticking around and probably signs a new extension. Same thing with like Jokic next offseason. If next offseason Jokic signs that extension, he's probably staying with the Denver Nuggets. Now, it could be one of those things where it's like get the money now and then request the trade a year later. Sure, that could be a possibility, but Denver would be in no obligation to go and oblige him, right? So kind of be one of those things where it's like, no, we're just going to keep you. You sign the contract, you own up to your contract, otherwise forget it, right? Maybe we'll trade you in a couple years. Right? Where Giannis, now you go and which Giannis, in my opinion, I think would be the better natural fit, right? I think a Jokic and Luka duo could be the most fun, though. I just think of the offensive engines that those two are and how much you could generate and stuff. Like, you'd have to have, like, a ton of athleticism and defense around. Like, literally, like, you need a dude Thero and guys like that at that point. Because you're talking, like, Luka, Jokic, and then, like, Thero, Kaluma, and go and I've talked about getting a Prosper. Start those 3 guys alongside Luka and that because you need the size, the athleticism, and the defense.